Hey folks, today I'm going to be updating a previous video. That video was when I installed my heated Saddlemen Road Sofa. I'll put a link in the description as well as put a card over here on the left. Now in that video, I connected the heated road sofa directly to the battery, just crimped some ring terminals to the positive and negative wires and then connected them to the battery. Now in doing so, that means you can turn on the heated seat at any time without the ignition switch, without accessory switch. So that might cause you to accidentally hit the button, and then next thing you know, you got a dead battery because you didn't realize that and you're not checking it. The other thing is kind of make it a little bit difficult when you're doing maintenance on your bike and you need to get to the battery, maybe you're installing some lights. You can take the seat off, but you can't completely remove it because it's directly connected. You just kind of got to put it to the side. So I didn't know this was not plug and play from factory, just like you would find on a Harley seat or a Mustang seat. But there is a plug and play harness that Saddlemen provides. It is $30. I also put a title in of that part number as well as put it in the description, a link to in the description of that part. So what I'm going to do is take off the seat today, and I'm going to show you how to connect the male and female connectors. So let's go ahead and get the seat off the bike and take a closer look. All right, as you can see, there's a lot of wiring for the heating elements in this seat. And you have two different positive wires with 7.5 amp fuses. And then obviously you have your negative wires. Now here is the wiring harness for the plug and play, which negative wire, you got the female plug in, and this is actually going to connect into a 7.5 amp fuse on the side of the bike in the fuse box. So what I plan on doing is I'm going to cut most of this off, even with the positive cables with the fuses. I'm cutting that off because you will be plugging, you will have a 7.5 amp fuse here, as well as you'll be plugging into one. Here is the new fuse case, and I'll explain more about that when I actually install. So we will solder this. You can do it however you want to, butt connectors. I'll probably solder this and then use some shrink tubing and get the job done. But for now, I'm gonna go ahead and install this first, just kind of get an idea of how much cable I have after I've got this connected. So let's go back to the bike and get started. All right, as you can see, I got the saddlebag off. Now I just need to take off this side panel. So you're going to want to have to get back behind this plastic panel. So you need to take these two bolts off. Now with the bolts off, will give us easy access to get underneath. And so what's going to happen is we need to send the female plug in and the negative cable for the battery in through here. Now we can send it up underneath around the frame and just make sure you got enough room as needed. And then we're going to put these bolts back in. Now you can see here's the fuse box cap. I'm just going to take that off. As I mentioned before, you get another fuse box case or cover and one is taller than the other. And the reason for that is to allow enough room for this cable. And you got a little slit here to where the cable can slide right through. So you're going to have to pull out the 7.5 amp, and what's going to happen is this is going to connect in with it. So there's that. Got the 7.5 amp out. So what's going to happen is you're going to take that 7.5 amp, and then that is going to get connected here. Then you're going to connect those together back into the fuse box. Now we can put the cover back on and move our fuse back in a better place so we can close all this off. So now I'm going to take the bigger fuse box cover showing the 7.5 amp there. We're going to place it on. Just put the cable where it needs to go with the little slit. I'll give it a little bit more slack just in case. Now I can slide that back in there, the fuse casing. Now we can connect it to the battery. So as you can see, I've already got the battery cables unplugged, and I got the ECM module over to the side, and there's a cover here typically where the ECM module sits. I've already removed that. You don't have to remove both cables, just the negative would be fine. That way you can then just plug in your negative cable. As you can see, I already got the negative cable connected to the battery, and the battery cover's on. The only thing I'll mention here is just make sure that you got the negative battery cable out of the way of the ECM module. Alright, so I finished up the male connector, and here's how much I took off, including the fuses like I'd mentioned before. So now we can go ahead and plug it in and test it out. Alright, I'm going to plug in the seat. As you can see, I left myself enough slack. Get the seat back on. First thing I'm going to do is test and see if this comes on. It should not come on. It does not come on. That's good. That means you can only turn it on from the ignition. Okay, the bike is on now. Let's see if she comes on. And she does. Low and high comes on just fine. Not a problem. All right, folks, that completes the install. Pretty straightforward. Depending on how you want to connect the male connector to the seat harness. Like I said, I used soldering, but you can use butt connectors, however you want to do it. But I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. Drop a comment down below. Please like, share, and subscribe. And always, rip the ride. See ya.